Gang. Blouses.
All right, we got to talk about it. This was a weird week. I appreciate the fact that most of you are probably saying like, "Oh, you're only piping up when we suck, when we drop the ball, and we have a couple losses that really bring us back down to earth." That may be true. However, I like watching the team when they're doing well, but there are some things that we definitely need to address. The cracks are starting to form, as Philip Rossman-Reich said on the Locked On Orlando Magic about a week and a half ago when we had that run against Washington and Charlotte. So I think that there's definitely some very good things about this team going on right now. I think there's some very challenging things that we need to address. But all in all, I think I'm very happy with where we're at right now. So I know a lot of you weren't expecting that. So if you're here to relish in the pain of what it is to be an Orlando Magic fan and you're rooting for another team and watching me struggle is fun for you, welcome. I don't have any love lost for you. This is all fun. Hopefully you take something out of this. Maybe I make you chuckle. Maybe I throw a stat at you that you hadn't thought about before, or I teach you something. I doubt I will because I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. But this is just the diaries of an Orlando Magic fan that has been through it all in this last specifically the last decade, but for many years before that as well. So we're going to dive right into it. We're going to talk some advanced stats. We're going to talk about some upcoming schedule stuff, where we're at in the standings, what I think it's going to look like, some predictions, and some players to keep an eye on this roster that you might not think about on a day-to-day basis when you're looking at the Orlando Magic as a whole. So here we go. We're going to dive into it. Welcome to the shit show. Okay, let me first start by saying we're 25 games into the season. This is a good checking in point to see how we're doing. Now, I know that Magic fans don't need to be reminded of the fact that last year we started 5-20. Yes, that is correct. You heard that right. 5-20. That was bad. That was a rough start. We ended up finishing out okay. We had a good post All-Star break, and we ended up getting eliminated officially from play in contention in a lot later than I thought we would with a 5-20 start. Now, this season, the 23-24 season, we're sitting at 16-9 after 25 games. Now, there's a little bit of optimism in that, and there's a little bit of pessimism in that, because I truly think, I know that's not how this works, but I truly think that we could have won at least two more of these games and potentially been sitting at 18-7, maybe even 19-6. And been at the top of the Eastern Conference. There was a couple close ones early on in the season that if you replayed those end-of-game situations today, I don't think that the Hawks are beating us by one. I don't think the Lakers are beating us by three. Although LA is a tough place to play with a young team like that and an experienced veteran, the greatest in LeBron James in crunch time, it's very rare that a young team like that is going to come in on the road and clutch up against him, especially the Magic, who don't really have a long trip over there. So maybe that's me overlooking some things. Maybe that's me being, I guess, stupidly optimistic about this team because of the fact that we have had some recent success. But here's the bare bones of it. We don't suck anymore. We're good. We're not great. We're good. We have accomplished the thing that I said in the last Orlando Magic rant, which I said needed to be accomplished for us to take the next step. And that is, we need to start beating teams that we are supposed to beat. So no shade to these guys at the bottom of the conference, but we need to know that when we go play Washington or Charlotte or San Antonio or Detroit, or insert a team with a sub 500 record and a kind of volatile situation in their roster here. But all in all, we have done that this season. We've taken care of business against the teams that we need to take care of business against. And for that, I'm very thankful. We've also had some surprise wins. If you would have told me we would have beaten Denver in the beginning of the season as stringing along a 9-game stretch here, I would have told you you're fucking nuts. I would have told you were even crazier if you told me that we were going to also beat the Celtics in that run and the Bucks in that run. Yeah, granted, no KP for Boston and no Dame for Milwaukee, but the fact of the matter is that we play very, very well at home. Now, let's take a look at some of the last road losses that we've had. At the end of the 9-game win streak, we went to Brooklyn. It was a stupid back-to-back. I don't like it. I think we do it every year or every other year or something where we play a game in Orlando and then the next night we're in Brooklyn. I don't like that for us. I don't think it's great. So I don't know. We'll see. But we lost to the Nets by 28 that night. That was bad. That was the first one of the most recent four consecutive road losses, which aren't looking great. We lost to Cleveland by 10, which by 10, based on how that game was going, that's a win. not a win. I don't like the term moral victory or whatever, but I do think that it could have been a lot worse. I mean, we were down big in most of that game and shot 8% from three, by the way. 8. Not 18, not 28, 8. Ridiculous. So to lose by only 10, and I think we missed maybe 7-8 free throws too and shot 8%. So that's a win if we don't have a lid on the rim. And then, of course, you have the Friday, Sunday back-to-back bangers against, we're 17 down from, or we lose consecutive games by 17 to the Celtics this weekend, Friday and Sunday. Now, I'll say this about the Celtics. They're fucking good. There's not really a whole lot else to say about the Celtics other than the fact that these guys know how to play basketball. They're veterans, and they're in their early 20s, well, mid-20s. But Drew Holiday changed that team, as he did when he came to Milwaukee when they got rid of Bledsoe and took them all the way to the finals. I think this is going to be a similar situation. I think this is going to be a team that we look at down the stretch and go, Drew Holiday has a fingerprint in a lot of these teams becoming more successful when he arrives. The defensive rating is up. They, I believe, currently they're sitting at third in defensive rating in the NBA right now. Their plus minus is insane. The net rating. I mean, their starting five is solid. You have Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Kristaps Porzingis with Al Horford coming off the bench and Peyton Pritchard, who had a crazy game against us on Friday. 21 points, and he's just tough, man. He's a tough kid. Like I get it. I'm not crazy about him defensively. Like if there was something down the stretch, I've said it before, I don't really want him playing defense on anybody in a tight situation, but maybe I'll be surprised. Who knows? But the Magic struggled. We struggled from three. Franz had a rough afternoon on Sunday. And, it really just all comes down to the fact that the Celtics are 14-0 at home. They're not losing at home. We're 11-2 at home, by the way, in case anybody is keeping track. I am. We don't lose at the crib, is what Jalen Suggs said. But we did lose at the crib a couple times this year. But for the most part, in this recent stretch of games, we've been playing very well. So excited to get back to the Amway Center on Wednesday when we play Miami. Speaking of, let's take a look at the upcoming schedule. To close out the year, this is what it looks like running down the list of teams that we have coming up. Stop me when I've told you enough about the good teams that we're playing. Up next, we have Miami. I'm not throwing them into the good team conversation. You know I'm not going to do that. I can't. I'm wearing the jersey. I can't do it. Milwaukee, Indiana, Washington. That'll be a win, hopefully. 76ers, Knicks, and the Suns. That's what we're closing out the year with. Holy shit. So we go from 16-9. I think that we can split. I think we could potentially go, what do we have, 7? I think we could go 3-4 or 4-3 with these. I don't see this being another 9 games in a row where we're like, holy shit, we're playing really good basketball. New York is very good. We don't really match up well against them. Phoenix is a big question mark for us. We typically Kevin Durant plays very well against us. Milwaukee has Dame back, so we're going to see what we're really made of when that is the case. And Giannis has been playing amazing basketball. Just please make sure whoever's on the Magic during that night, don't take the game ball from him. We don't need any more extra injuries because we're fucking around. Indiana also hitting full stride. I mean, the run in the in-season tournament, this team is not a joke. So Everybody with the exception, I know what you're going to say. If you're a Heat fan and you're listening to this and you're saying, put some respect on our name, I will when you beat us. I don't think you're going to beat us on Wednesday. You can take that to the bank. I'm going Magic all the way. I think we play very well at home. And I think there could be a surprise waiting for the Heat in the locker room of the Orlando Magic in Wendell Carter. I think he could be potentially coming back soon. I don't know if it'll be Wednesday. Could be. But that would be great because we definitely are missing him as a paint presence and a pick and roll option right now. So no, I'm not gonna say that Miami is a better basketball team than us right now. I don't believe that. I think Milwaukee and Indiana could potentially be. 76ers and Knicks definitely are. Suns are kind of a question mark for me. I don't really know what the Suns could be the best team in basketball and the worst team in basketball in consecutive nights in the league. So I don't know. I don't really know. The Magic are the same exact way. I mean, you have nights where the Magic, where Franz and Paolo are playing exceptional basketball. They're playing all-star level basketball this year. And then right after that, they can, lay an egg and shoot, 1 of 10 from the half like Franz did the other night, which I don't think is going to be a regular thing for him. I think he needs to get back home, see a few go down, and things will happen. But in regards to the upcoming schedule, there are some pivotal matchups from in teams that are lower than us in the standings right now that we need to beat to kind of separate ourselves from the pack. Because as it stands right now, we're 4th in the East at 16-9. We are 3 games out of 9th place. I don't want to be that low starting the new year. I think that we will have a chance to potentially maybe gain a game on a couple of the lower seeds. But as far as the top of the East goes, Milwaukee, Philly, and Boston are going to be the top 3 seeds. I don't think anyone else is touching them. I don't think we will be up there. I know everybody was like, hey, we're a game back of the Celtics, looking pretty good when we were like, 11-5, 12-5, whatever it was. I don't know. I don't really know how consistent those top 3 teams are going to be. I don't know if, are the Celtics going to remain healthy and remain the undefeated at home? Probably not the whole year, but they got a chance to really dominate the East and most of the West this year. I think if the Celtics don't win the championship this year, it's a sorry to say, Giannis, but it's a failure of a season. I know he's not on the Celtics, but it's just from last year, when the guy said, hey, is this a failure this year? I think it is. I honestly think that the Celtics are dominant enough they should be able to cakewalk through whatever in the playoffs and go right to the finals. But we know what happens in the playoffs with the Celtics. There are games where people go missing that are supposed to be all-stars, and great teams don't have that happen consistently. There are guys that show up every day that make nights miserable for the opposing teams, and I don't know if Jason Tatum is one of those guys yet. Yes, he's a very difficult cover in the postseason, but there are times where he will hide in the playoffs. Not hide, but have poor performances when they really need to turn the corner. Jaylen Brown, same thing. He had 9 turnovers in the elimination game last season against Miami. So not necessarily something to be overly concerned about, I don't think, right now in this moment as a Magic fan, because we've already played them thrice. I think we play them one more time and then that's it. But we were 4-1 in the last 5 against them, and now I believe we're 4-2 in the last 6. So I don't know. They just look very good. So anyway, back to the pivotal matchups. Sorry, I went on a tangent there. Back to the pivotal matchups. There's some seeds that are lower than us, but are close enough to where if they win, they're going to be creeping up on us and bumping us down to sort of the play-in talks. That is Miami, New York, and Indiana. We have those 3 games coming up here in the next couple of weeks, all within the next couple of weeks. And those are games that I don't want to say must win in December, but it would definitely be damn good if we did beat them, because you don't want to start slipping when the season's starting to turn the corner for everybody. Right now, I'm starting to see the cracks form, as we talked about before. We are still dealing with shooting woes. We still do not play well on the road. We're 5-7 on the road. We've lost 4 straight in a row. We're down 2 starters with no definite timetable for return. That's a fun little drinking game I like to play when the Orlando Magic are in season and somebody gets hurt. Take a drink every time you say no time. You hear no timetable for return. It happens quite a bit, and we're banged up right now. I mean, we got a lot of guys playing hurt. I think a lot of guys are playing through pain. Ingles was out last night or yesterday afternoon with sprained ankle. Paolo dealing with a sprain. He sprained it on a week ago, last Monday. Had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off to get right. Friday against Boston, he did not play well, so I'm thinking that it might have been nagging him still, but it could just be the fact that Boston plays very, very good at home. Jalen also dealing with an ankle sprain from about a week and a half ago. Jonathan Isaac sprained as well. He sprained his ankle. I mean, he grabbed his knee, and everybody, I was ready to fucking burn my jerseys again. It was just, it's stressful watching him go down because you know how long it's going to take him to get back. But luckily, he's been relatively healthy, knock on wood, this season. So thankfully, he's okay. He's back in the lineup and one of our top defensive rated guys on this roster in the regular rotation. So this is something that is going to be a problem. It's always a problem for us. If you're in an Orlando Magic uniform and the weather gets cool outside, things are going to happen. Everybody gets hurt. I feel like we've missed. It's got to be. I didn't do this for the show prep, but we got to be damn close to the top in terms of the last 5 seasons. Most games missed for injury. I know Portland's probably up there. New Orleans is probably up there as well. LA might be up there. I don't know. Golden State probably with Steph sitting out the whole season 5 years ago, and Clay as well, but we have to be up there in terms of most games missed for injury. It's just insane. I mean, again, and the other problem with that is that 2 starters out. You start Anthony Black, who is not an offensive threat. You start Goga Bitadze, who is not a guy who can stretch the floor and run a pick and roll as effectively as Wendell Carter. And a lot of the times right now, what teams are doing against us, which here's a little basketball insight for you, for the guys who don't watch a lot. I'm not trying to sound condescending. I'm just making a joke here. A 2-3 zone is being played against us quite a bit because teams are wanting us to shoot the ball. Why, you say? Why would you want a team to shoot the ball against you? Good question. I'll answer that with this. We shot 8% against Cleveland the other night, and from 3. 8%. That's single digits. That's insane. That's got to be a record. I don't know how it's not. We just don't shoot the ball well. And here's the thing. I said it last time on the Orlando Magic rant. Joe Mazzulla was basically baiting Anthony Black, saying, leave Zero alone on the sideline, going, please shoot this. Now, yes, he's going to hit some corner threes every once in a while. He's not I don't know. I don't get as nervous when he shoots a 3 as much as I do when like Markelle Fultz will take a 3. I think he's definitely a better shooter than Markelle Fultz, but he's in the scouting report as a non-offensive threat, and he's a starter. That's just not, that's old school basketball that just doesn't work anymore. Dante Jones famously used to start to freeze up the opponent's best player. He would always just try to lock up whoever it was that would start, and then 6-man would come in, and that would be your offensive threat. We try to do that kind of with Joe Ingles and Cole Anthony being the first guys off the bench, but with Joe Ingles being hurt, the first guy off the bench Sunday afternoon was Caleb Houston. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, who the fuck is that guy? Let me tell you, Caleb Houston is quietly one of our best shooters on this team. He doesn't get a lot of minutes. He's not very versatile, without being mean about it, because I do like his game, but he is a shooter. When he's out there, you know what he's doing, okay? Very much like the Quentin Grimes comment that Kevin Durant made a couple nights ago, which I don't find disrespectful. I think what he's saying is, when he's only doing one thing and we know he's only doing one thing, how do we not stop it? That's the problem with Caleb Houston's game at this moment in time. There's not a whole lot he's doing to beat you off the dribble, setting, off ball screens. He's not great defensively. He's okay. He's active. He's young. He hustles. He works hard. He gets to the right spots in the fast break. But as far as everything else goes, that guy being the first dude off the bench, I don't know if I like it right now. Joe Ingles is, you lose pace and flow when Joe Ingles is not on the team and on the floor. So I like the fact that he is with us. I like the fact that that's the veteran that we have. He's also one of our best 3-point shooters right now. Not so great from two, as we talked about in the last one, but he's brought it up a little bit. But he's a spark off the bench for us. He looks good. I mean, he's fine. He plays confident. He plays very slow. I mean, there's no one slower that runs the pick and roll. No one slower than Joe Ingles. But I love what he's done for this team. I think he's the perfect vet for this system. But again, the bench right now outperforming a lot of the other benches in the league, which is exciting. But you know, our bench is half of our bench is starting right now. Well, 2 out of the 5. You know, we still have Paolo, Jalen, and Franz that are 2, 3, 4 right now. So getting Markelle Fultz back, getting Wendell Carter back will be huge. Right now is the time where I'm going to ask you, how many games do you think Markelle Fultz and Wendell Carter have played this year? If your answer is 5, you're correct. We've played 25 games. They've missed 20 consecutive games. Markelle Fultz is a topic of discussion with a lot of Orlando Magic forums and fan bases and fan pages. A lot of guys love him. A lot of guys are ready to see him leave. If you look at the comments about any post about Markelle Fultz, it is equally, this guy's great. I can't wait for him to get back to full force, and he's going to be a guy that is going to be the future of this team. Wait till he gets healthy. He's going to put the league on notice. And then on the other hand, you have, this guy needs to go. He can't stay healthy. We need to trade him. We need to get a shooter. We need to get a better point guard. We need to have a more reliable guy. Both of those things I agree with. I think we need to see this through. I think we need to give him a chance, because I truly think he has a special place in his heart for Orlando because of what we were able to give him when he was dragged through the mud in Philly. Philly beat him down. It was a rescue dog. Markelle Fultz is the Orlando Magic's rescue dog. We found him, and we're like, I know he's a little banged up. He might be a little crazy. He's got a history we're not entirely sure about, but let's give him a chance. Everybody deserves love in this league, especially a number 1 overall pick. It's not an accident that you get picked number 1 overall in the NBA, unless it's, you know, a very rare instance that those number 1 picks are so wildly incorrect. Anthony Bennett comes to mind, Kwame Brown comes to mind, but for the most part in recent years, there hasn't been a absolutely horrific draft bust at number 1. I think Markelle Fultz is a great player. I truly think that he is. I think that he's going to stay. I know I said the last time that we were going to try to trade him, but I think that we need to see this out. I think he's a guy that definitely needs to be given the reins, and let's see what he can do when both of them come back. I hope what's going on. I don't know why this would be a thing, but there's a chance that, you know, a lot of times when the Magic players and around the league, that when injuries like this happen, long extended periods of time, you want to bring them back at a home game. You don't want to bring them back on a road game. It's just weird. Unless it's a win or go home kind of situation, you don't want to bring a guy back into a weird environment. You want him to come back at home. I don't think Wednesday is going to be the day, but later in the week when we do have a home game before we head out west in January, I think we could potentially be seeing a dual return in Markelle Fultz and Wendell Carter, which will be great because we were finally attacking that pick and roll and giving options to not only the rest of the guys out there that are kind of off the ball in the moment, but we were giving the defense fits. A lot of the cheating up in the back line of the zone, we were going over the top of the lob. Anytime the defense would collapse and we couldn't get that lob, there's, you know, corner threes that were happening. There's a lot of good things that Markelle Fultz can do. He's a big body. Everybody forgets about the fact that he is actually very big and strong for a point guard. And Anthony Black, same thing. I think he's 6'6", 6'7". So we have a lot of big players on this team, and they're tough. Unfortunately, you go down with a little bit of a knee thing, and I think that we're seeing this through and making sure that we can bring him back. But I've kind of rescinded my comments on the fact that we're waiting to see what this team is made of without him to potentially move on from him. I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I think Anthony Black knows his role. I think what he's there for is very specific. Every team needs someone like him. Everybody needs a defensive stopper, an energy guy, and somebody that is just, learning the ropes and being in the right place at the right time is something that is unteachable right now. So he's got a very good instinct, good nose for the ball. So that's it for the Markelle Fultz news. Let's get into the advanced stats. Okay. Wow. I just had another cough attack. My goodness. I got to stop talking so much, dude. Look, the advanced stats are not for everybody. Some people will tell you that they're totally fucking meaningless. I disagree. I think there's a lot to look at here, but we're getting to the player individual stats in a minute, but I just want to go over some team specifics right now. Currently, as it stands on 11:45 p.m. on Monday, December 18th, we are 18th in offensive rating, which is good. I know there was a mistake in the last Orlando Magic Rant episode. What I meant about cracking the top 10 in offense was I meant cracking the bottom 10. So what I was saying was I hope that at some point we can get up above 20th in the league to potentially, have some signs of progress in that. Offense is still underperforming. Our shooting problems are the root of that. A lot of it is injury based, shooting based, and just I think we're young and inexperienced, and I think a lot of the offensive stuff will shake itself out. And a lot of our offense is coming from defense. Currently, right now, we're sitting at 4th in defensive rating across the league, which is great. I'm very pleased with what we're doing defensively. I think Jalen Suggs is a menace out there. I think he's quietly could be considered one of the top defensive players of the league this year. I still think they're going to give it to a big guy. They're probably going to give it to Brook Lopez or Rudy Gobert, one of those guys with insane shot blocking ability and instinct. But somebody that definitely needs recognition. He plays with his hair on fire basically every night. He's intense. He's got an energy level that is unmatched on this team, and when you see him go down, it's that not only the engine of that team is going back to the locker room, but a lot of the defensive presence that we have is no longer a threat because he's the engine that drives the defense, and there's a lot to be said about that. Also, Goga Bitadze stepping up into the Wendell Carter in the Wendell Carter absence and being someone who was asked to do a lot of things for a team that was, potentially on the rise. And he stood up and accepted the challenge, and he's been protecting the rim very nicely. And I think a lot of his rim protecting ability and sneaky shot blocking ability has to do with the fact that we, that lends itself to why we are 4th in defensive rating right now. Now there are some guys on our team that definitely need some help defensively. Cole Anthony being the root of the problem. Not the root of the problem. The root of the problem is offense, but the root of the problem defensively is him. I'm not a big fan of his defense. I'm not a big fan of that. So I think that there's stuff that we need to figure out. So we're 8th in net rating. We're still positive. We're at a plus 3.5, which is good. We're 22nd in effective field goal percentage. We're 19th in true shooting percentage. 26th in assist to turnover ratio, which it's weird, man. I know these advanced stats probably mean nothing to a lot of you, but sometimes the numbers don't lie. And within the confines of how they judge these advanced stats, lie a lot of truths in how we are playing a game. Numbers don't lie. I know it's a overused cliche, but they really don't. And there's a lot that you can look at in the breakdowns. Those are just the highlights. There's a lot of other stuff that we can get deeper into, but I won't bore you with the numbers. The Magic are a young team. We're inexperienced. A lot of these numbers are inflated because of the early part of the year and that 9-game win streak we were playing out of our minds. So I feel like after 25 games in, we're going to start to settle down. We're going to start to calm it a little bit. We're going to start to get a true representation of what this team is. Now, I don't think we have a full representation of this team until we are fully healthy, which when we were playing amazing basketball. So that's something to be on the lookout for in the weeks to come. I'm very worried about these next upcoming weeks. We have a very tough schedule. We leave and go out west in January as well, and we don't have a sub 500 out of the playoff picture matchup outside of Washington for quite some time. So we got our work cut out for us, and this is a make or not necessarily make or break for us, but it is it's where we're going to see what this team is made of. Are we going to fold? Are we going to hang our heads and say we don't belong here right now. We need a couple more years to get to the point where we're competitive, or do we bear down and do we fucking bring it? I mean, I think the Miami game is going to be very telling. Miami always likes to beat us. They always like to fuck around and play very well against us. We won the last meeting against them. I believe it was the overtime win in February, I believe, of last year, but could be incorrect. Maybe we played them at the end of the season last year to close it out. I feel like we probably did, but hopefully I'm correct and it was a win, but that's neither here nor there. That is gonna be a big matchup. We're gonna see how we respond after getting our tails whooped on in Boston back-to-back nights by 17. So I hope we get back to defending the O and enjoying that atmosphere and just playing together a little bit better. We're a little out of sorts right now, so hopefully with the injuries shaking out and getting guys back and having home court advantage and being there in an environment that you're comfortable in will hopefully help us out, help us get a couple of victories in this abysmal stretch that we have coming up. Very, very tough. Very, very tough. So some individual player stats just to take a look at to kind of wind it down here. As I said, Caleb Houston, he's our top 3-point percentage, 3-point shooter right now. 9 minutes a game, but he's shooting 41.2% from three. I love the trust that Jamal Mosley has in this kid. He throws him in a lot of weird situations, and as of right now, he's the first guy off the bench, or he was in Boston because of Joe Ingles being out. So I'm excited to see this kid grow. I want to see what he's made of. I want to see him hit a big shot at some point in this season and maybe change some minds. Joe Ingles sitting at 40.7 from three. He's averaging 24 minutes a game. He is a big part of this offense and success off the bench. He runs that second unit very well. He's poised. He's confident. He's a seasoned veteran. He knows what he's doing. He makes the right play a lot of the times. I mean, he doesn't really try to thread the needle. He runs a very slow and methodical pick and roll, and he's just a veteran presence that a lot of these guys need. He's been in playoff atmospheres before, so it's a good guy to have. Another guy I'm a little concerned about right now is Franz Wagner, not because of his shooting performance and his play over the weekend in Boston, which really it was only bad on Sunday. Friday was fine, but it was just kind of a game. It wasn't great, wasn't terrible, but it was just in the middle. It was a game that he would have had 2 years ago, and everybody would have been like, "Oh, okay, very, very good." But this is this version of Franz Wagner this season needs to play better than he did Friday for this team to be successful. That's flat out. I don't really have much else to say about that. But he's taken 5 threes a game and shooting 29.3%. He was hitting them a little bit. They were going in the earlier parts of the year. He looked good from deep, but I don't like him taking this many threes a game. I'd much rather him take you off the dribble and put a shoulder in your chest and have a nice crafty finish at the rim. He's very good at that. He's very good at finishing through contact. He's very good at keeping that ball in his hands and getting up and finishing through multiple defenders, and he's just very crafty around the rim. He's very much like a Ginobili, where the angles that you see him take to the basket don't look great, and then all of a sudden he finds a way to sneak it past you. A lot of reverse Mikan action, a lot of European influence in his game, obviously because he's German, but a lot of very slow Euros that end up confusing people. So I like him playing at the rim. I'd much rather see him take more shots at the rim. I think currently he's taken about 16 field goals a game. Most of them are at the rim, if those threes are 5 a game. So I want to see him take more to the rim, and I want to see us make more extra passes and getting a better look at what we're doing here. So we'll see if that's the case. But Paolo's free throw numbers are down. I'm really worried about that. He gets fouled a lot, and for him to go to the line as much as he does for us, 67% is just not going to cut it. We got to get up to at least the mid 70s, maybe high 70s to low 80s at the end of the year. I really want to see this happen now. The free throw numbers do kind of mirror LeBron's free throw percentage in the early part of his career. Remember, he was kind of iffy from the line. and similar play styles. To be honest with you, I know it's crazy to say that. It's insane to say that. I get it, but if you look at their body of work, you look at how physical they play, their back to the basket mid range game, their ways of creating shots for themselves. It's very similar. They do look very similar in that sense. So I'm not saying Paolo is going to be LeBron James, but he could be a star in this league that a lot of people are not really focusing on heavily. We're still waiting for that national TV coverage, sitting at 4th in the Eastern Conference. I think we're the only fucking team that's in the playoffs that hasn't had a national TV game yet. It's insane. I get it, but how many times are we going to put fucking Wembanyama on TV and they lose, and we're watching Jeremy Sohan run the point guard? Jesus Christ. Give the Magic some love, man. They're 16-9. San Antonio's won 3 fucking games this year. Come on. Anyway, our positive net rating guys, our top 3 are Goga Batadze, which is he stepped up, and a lot of people thought that he was going to bite off more than he could chew with a lot of those matchups, but he's proven to be one of our most solid performers, most consistent guys underneath the basket, defensively and offensively. And then the JIs, you got Joe Ingles and Jonathan Isaac at second and third. And all of those guys, when fully healthy, all of those guys are bench players. Goga is the only one in the starting lineup right now, but he will be coming off the bench once Wendell comes back. It'll be interesting to see what happens because, Wendell and him have very, very different games, but another guy who is going to have to come off the bench a little bit later when Wendell comes back is Mo Wagner, who a lot of people are very excited about. 12 points a game this year coming off the bench, a part of that very passionate bench unit, very electric. He gets the crowd into games. He's a spark off the bench. He shoots very well, about 60% on the year, field goal percentage wise. So he's doing well. He's playing very good basketball. He's played in every game this year alongside Franz, Paolo, and Cole. Those are the only 4 guys that have played every game this year. Only missing one would be Joe Ingles. So that it's pretty good for the first 25 games for the Orlando Magic. It's solid. There's only a couple of guys, and they're repeat offenders, if you will, in the injury department. But the highest offensive rating right now is Joe Ingles, and the highest defensive rating. I don't think this should be a surprise. If you take Jet Howard, and I think there's another guy on there that maybe Admiral Schofield, that's up there when they're the garbage time guys. The highest defensive rating right now is J.I. And he is. I can't say enough about how important he is to our defense. I mean, he the way he closes out on shots, the way he is contesting everything at the rim, no matter what. He's always there. He's ready for a putback on offense. He's ready for a block on defense. And the only thing that I really, really wish that we could see more of from him is his ability to catch and shoot from the corner and hit it effectively at a higher percentage. He did it a couple times against Boston on Sunday, but just not enough to be consistent and go, hey, this kid's good. So, I mean, he's good, but just not from 3. Defensively is where he's hanging his hat. He's going to work. He's punching the clock. He's coming in there, and he's going to make sure that your life is miserable when he's out there on the floor, which is great. But see, all in all, a pretty positive episode. I am worried about this team for sure. I think that shooting is going to be an issue, and there are some things that we need to correct. We need to get healthy. We need to fix our shooting. We need to fix some of the bad shots that we are taking, because not only are we missing open shots, but we tend to take some tough, ill-advised shots when we are down. So I'd like to see that get corrected. And all in all, I think that this is I think we are a playoff basketball team. I think we are ready to take the next step. But this next week and 2 weeks really, in leading into the new year, this is going to be very telling of what this team is capable of. Are we for real, or are we make believe? We're going to see. By the time the new year by the time the ball drops and 2024 is among us, we're going to know what the Orlando Magic are made of. So hopefully that's good news for us Orlando Magic fans. Thank you guys again for listening. We're going to be back with another episode, probably league specific, pretty soon. Good luck to all you guys that are playing fantasy out there. Good luck to all the Magic fans that are going to have to sit through these next couple tough weeks. But I believe in us. I think we can do it. And let's beat the heat Wednesday, goddammit. Let's do this thing, all right? Subscribe to the channel if you want to help us out. Thank you for listening, and thanks for listening to the rant. And tell your friends, tell me to go fuck myself. I don't care. But we'll see you next time. Go Magic.
Gang. Blouses.